If you're here right now, chances are you've been through the emotional roller coaster of watching your twin flame run away. Maybe you're sitting there wondering if they'll ever come back, or if they do come back, whether they'll just disappear again. I get it. This journey isn't easy, and when you're in the middle of it, everything feels confusing and painful. But here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. The runner stage isn't about you not being enough. It's not about them not loving you. Actually, it's quite the opposite. The intensity of a twin flame connection can be absolutely terrifying for the person who isn't ready to face themselves. And that's what this is really about. It's about them facing parts of themselves they've been running from their whole life. When twin flames meet, it's like holding up the biggest, clearest mirror you've ever seen. Everything that's unhealed, everything that's been buried, everything that's been avoided suddenly comes rushing to the surface. For the runner, this feels overwhelming. So they do what seems logical at the time. They run. But what most people don't realize is that running from a twin flame is actually running from yourself. And you can only run from yourself for so long before you get exhausted. The good news? When a twin flame runner comes back after truly going through their journey, they usually stay for good. Not because the connection gets easier, but because they've finally done the inner work needed to handle it. They've faced their demons, they've healed their wounds, they've grown into the person who can meet you where you are. So let's talk about the 7 stages they go through on their way back to you. And more importantly, why this time it's different. Why this time they're ready to stay. Stage 1, the breaking point. After weeks, months, or sometimes even years of running, something happens. The runner hits what I call the breaking point. This is when they realize that no matter how far they run, no matter who else they try to be with, no matter how much they distract themselves, they can't escape what they're feeling. They can't escape you. This stage usually comes after they've tried everything else. Maybe they jumped into another relationship hoping to forget you. Maybe they threw themselves into work, moved to a new city, or changed their entire life around. But none of it works. You're still there in their thoughts when they wake up. You're still there when they're trying to fall asleep. They see you in their dreams. They feel you in ways they can't explain to anyone else. Because honestly, who would understand? The breaking point happens when they finally admit to themselves that this connection isn't going away. They can't think or distract or run their way out of it. This is when the exhaustion really sets in. Running takes so much energy, and they've been sprinting for so long that they're completely drained. They start asking themselves the hard questions. What am I actually running from? Why does this scare me so much? What am I avoiding? And here's what makes this stage so important. For the first time, they're being honest with themselves. They're not making excuses anymore. They're not blaming you or the connection. They're looking inward and acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't the relationship. The problem is what the relationship is bringing up inside them. During this stage, you might not hear from them yet. They're still processing. They're still in their own head trying to make sense of everything. But inside, things are shifting. The walls they built are starting to crack. The defenses they put up are starting to come down. This is the beginning of their journey back, even if they don't fully realize it yet. Stage 2, the self-reflection phase. Once they hit that breaking point, the real work begins. This is where the runner starts doing some serious soul searching. They begin looking at their patterns, their fears, their past wounds, and how all of it has been affecting their relationships and their life. This stage can actually take a while because it's not comfortable. Nobody likes admitting they've been wrong or that they've hurt someone they love. Nobody likes facing the fact that they've been controlled by fear. But this is exactly what needs to happen for real change to occur. They start seeing patterns they never noticed before. Maybe they realize they've been running from every serious relationship they've ever had. Maybe they recognize that their fear of commitment stems from watching their parents' marriage fall apart. Maybe they finally understand that their need for control comes from childhood experiences where they felt powerless. Whatever it is, they're connecting the dots. What's different about this reflection compared to before is the depth of it. This isn't surface level thinking. This isn't just acknowledging they have issues. This is really digging into the why behind everything. They're asking themselves tough questions and actually sitting with the uncomfortable answers. During this phase, they might start therapy or counseling. They might dive into spiritual practices, meditation, or self-help resources. They're actively seeking understanding, not just about the twin flame connection, but about themselves as individuals. They're recognizing that in order to be with you, they first need to understand and heal themselves. And here's something important. This stage isn't about you anymore. It's about them finally taking responsibility for their own healing. They're not doing this to win you back, even though that might be part of their motivation. They're doing it because they've realized they can't keep living the way they've been living. Something has to change, and that something is them. Stage 3, facing the fear. Now we get to one of the hardest stages for the runner. This is where they have to actually face the specific fears that made them run in the first place. And let me tell you, twin flame fears run deep. We're not talking about being scared of commitment in a casual way. We're talking about soul-level terror. For many runners, the biggest fear is vulnerability. The twin flame connection demands complete emotional nakedness. There's no hiding. There's no pretending. You see each other fully, and that's absolutely terrifying when you've spent your whole life building walls to protect yourself. They're scared that if they let you see all of them, including the messy parts, the broken parts, the parts they're ashamed of, you'll leave. Or worse, you'll confirm what they've always secretly believed about themselves, that they're not worthy of love. Another common fear is loss of independence. Twin flames challenge your sense of self because the connection is so intense. The runner might fear losing themselves in the relationship. They worry about becoming dependent on someone else for their happiness. They're scared of needing you as much as they do, because needing someone means giving them the power to hurt you. Then there's the fear of the connection itself. Some runners are scared because they've never felt anything this powerful before, and powerful feelings mean powerful pain if things go wrong. They're also afraid of the changes this relationship requires. Twin flames don't just complement your life as it is. They often require you to completely transform your life, and transformation is scary. Facing these fears means sitting with them instead of running from them. It means acknowledging them, understanding where they come from, and slowly working through them. This isn't a quick process. Some days they'll feel brave and ready. Other days, the fear will feel overwhelming again. But the difference now is they're not letting the fear control them anymore. They're learning to feel the fear and move forward anyway. Stage 4, the healing journey. This is where everything starts coming together. The runner has acknowledged their patterns, they've faced their fears, and now they're actively healing the wounds that caused all of this in the first place. This stage is about transformation, and it's beautiful to witness, even from a distance. Healing looks different for everyone. For some runners, it means working through childhood trauma. For others, it's healing from past relationships that left them damaged. Some need to heal their relationship with themselves, learning self-love for the first time in their lives. Whatever the specific wounds are, this is when they're doing the real work to address them. You might notice changes in them during this stage if you're in contact. They seem calmer. They're taking accountability for their actions instead of making excuses. They're setting healthier boundaries in all their relationships, not just with you. They're making different choices, better choices. They're becoming the person they were always meant to be. What makes this healing different from any healing they might have attempted before is the motivation behind it. Before, they might have done some surface-level work because someone told them they should, or because they thought it would fix a specific problem. Now they're healing because they genuinely want to change. They're tired of living in fear. They're tired of sabotaging their own happiness. They're ready to break the cycles that have been controlling them. This stage takes time, and that's okay. Real healing can't be rushed. They might have setbacks along the way. Healing isn't linear, but the overall direction is forward, and that's what matters. They're committed to the process now, even when it gets hard. And through this healing, they're becoming capable of the kind of love a twin flame connection requires. They're learning to love themselves first, which means they'll finally be able to love you the way you deserve. Stage 5, the awakening. Something shifts during the healing journey. The runner experiences what I call an awakening. This is when they finally understand what the twin flame connection actually is. Not just intellectually, but in their soul. They get it now. They understand why this connection felt so intense. They understand why they couldn't forget you, no matter how hard they tried. They understand that this is bigger than just a regular relationship. This awakening often comes with a spiritual component. Even if they weren't spiritual before, many runners find themselves drawn to spiritual concepts during this stage. They start understanding energy, synchronicities, and the deeper meaning behind their journey. They realize that meeting you wasn't random. Running wasn't a mistake. It was part of their growth. Everything that happened needed to happen for them to become who they are now. They also start understanding their role in this connection. They realize that being the runner doesn't make them the bad guy. It makes them human. They were just scared, and fear made them react in ways that hurt both of you. But now they can see the bigger picture. They can see how their running pushed both of you to grow in ways you wouldn't have otherwise. During this awakening, they start feeling different about the connection. What once felt scary now feels right. What once felt overwhelming now feels like coming home. The idea of being with you doesn't terrify them anymore. It excites them. They start imagining a future together, and instead of panicking, they feel peaceful about it. This is also when they truly understand what they lost when they ran. They're not just missing you anymore. They're understanding the magnitude of what you offered them. True, unconditional love, complete acceptance, and a partnership that could help them become their best self. And they're realizing they want that. They're ready for it now. Stage 6, taking action. Understanding and feeling ready is one thing. Actually doing something about it is another. This is the stage where the runner stops just thinking about coming back and starts taking concrete steps to make it happen. This is when you'll likely start hearing from them again, if you haven't already. But here's what's different this time. They're not coming back with the same energy they had before. They're not coming back impulsively or because they're lonely. They're coming back with intention and purpose. They've thought this through. They've done the work. They know what they want, and what they want is you. Their approach is different too. Before, there might have been games, hot and cold behavior, mixed signals. Now they're clear. They're honest about what they've been going through. They're willing to have the hard conversations. They're ready to be vulnerable in ways they couldn't before. They're showing up as their authentic self, not the defended version of themselves they were before. Taking action might start small. Maybe they reach out with a simple message. Maybe they ask to talk. But unlike before, they follow through. They're consistent. They're present. They're showing you through their actions, not just their words, that things are different now. They're also respecting your journey and your healing. They understand they hurt you. They know they have to earn your trust back. They're not expecting you to just welcome them back with open arms immediately. They're willing to be patient. They're willing to prove that they've changed. They're willing to do whatever it takes because they finally understand what's at stake. Stage 7, the commitment. This is the final stage, and it's where everything you've both been through finally makes sense. The runner comes back, and this time they stay. Not because the relationship is suddenly easy, not because all your problems are magically solved, but because they're finally ready to do the work alongside you instead of running from it. Commitment at this stage looks different than typical relationship commitment. This is soul-level commitment. They're committing not just to being with you, but to continuing their own growth. They're committing to showing up even when things get hard. They're committing to working through challenges instead of running from them. They're committing to the journey wherever it leads. What makes them stay for good is simple. They've changed. The person who ran from you isn't the same person who came back. They've been through the fire and came out transformed. The fears that controlled them before, don't have the same power anymore. They've healed the wounds that made them sabotage the relationship. They've learned to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. They stay because they finally love themselves enough to accept real love from someone else. They stay because they understand that what you have together is rare and precious. They stay because they've learned that running doesn't solve anything. It just prolongs the inevitable. They stay because being with you, even with all the intensity and challenges, feels better than being without you. And most importantly, they stay because they've realized that the twin flame journey isn't about finding someone who completes you. It's about becoming whole yourself so you can unite with someone else who's also whole. That's when the real magic happens. That's when the relationship shifts from being a source of pain and confusion to being a source of growth and joy. So, if you're waiting for your runner to come back, have faith. Trust the process. Their journey back to you is also their journey back to themselves. And when they finally arrive, really arrive, you'll both be ready for what comes next.